Social Science, Unit 7, Contemporary History, Spain in the 19th Century. In this unit, we are going to learn first the War of Independence and what happened from this war up to the kingdom of Ferdinand the Seventh, then the reign of Isabella II, and we will talk about life in the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution, society, art and culture. Before starting with the topic, it's very important to remember all the different periods previous to the contemporary history that we have studied so far, as it is prehistory, which is divided into Paleolithic Age, Neolithic Age, Metal Ages, then the ancient history with the pre-Roman times and Roman times, Middle Ages with the periods of Visigoths and the Christian kingdoms in Al-Andalus in Spain, the modern period, and now we will start with contemporary history. It is also important to remember about the different kingdoms that reign over Spain during the periods of the 17th and 18th century, both the Austria dynasty and the Bourbon dynasty. First topic in contemporary 19th century, the War of Independence. In 1807, when Charles IV was the King of Spain, something happened. Napoleon Bonaparte, the Emperor of France, made a decision to occupy Portugal. Charles IV allowed him to go across Spain to go to Portugal. However, the French troops invaded some Spanish cities when they were traveling to Portugal. This caused a popular revolt called the Motín de Aranjuez, because Spanish people were not happy about having French troops occupying our country. All this forced Charles IV to abdicate, and his son Ferdinand VII became king. Soon after Charles IV's abdication, Napoleon forced Ferdinand VII to abdicate so he could proclaim his brother, Joseph Bonaparte, the new king of Spain. However, the population of Madrid did not accept him and revolted against the French. This started the War of Independence. This war lasted from 1808 to 1817. When the French were defeated in 1814, Ferdinand VII returned as the King of Spain. During the war, the Spanish Parliament moved to Cádiz. In 1812, its members wrote the first constitution of Spain, the Constitution of Cádiz. It limited a king's power and established rights for citizens, including the right to vote for men 25 years old or older. In 1814, when the war finished, Ferdinand VII returned as King of Spain. He abolished the Constitution of Cádiz and re-established an absolute monarchy. This caused political disorder, and as a result, most of the American colonies became independent. Also, the liberals were persecuted. Liberals as people who supported the Constitution. In Spain, according to the law of succession, only men could reign. However, Ferdinand VII changed his law so his daughter could ascend to the throne. Isabella II became queen when Ferdinand VII died in 1833. Isabella II was 3 years old when she became Queen of Spain. However, she didn't reign until she was 13 years old. During that period, her mother, Maria Cristina de Borbón, assumed her regency first, and later General Baldomero Esparterodí. During her reign, there was a constitutional monarchy that limited her power. However, numerous military conflicts and changes of government led to a revolution, and in 1868 Isabella II went into exile. After Isabella II's exile, a new constitution was created. It established a monarchy in Spain, but there was a problem. There was no king. In 1871, Amadeo de Saboya of Italy became king. However, since he was a foreign king, he didn't have much support, and he abdicated 2 years later. In 1873, members of parliament proclaimed a republic, a form of government with no king. It was the first time that the Spanish head of state was not a king, but a president chosen by citizens. However, it didn't have much support. In 1874, the son of Isabella II, Alfonso XII, was crowned King of Spain, and a new historical period known as the Restoration began. Alfonso XII died in 1885, and his son, Alfonso XIII, became King of Spain. His mother, Maria Cristina, governed for him until he was 16 years old. At the end of the 19th century, during Maria Cristina's regency, Spain lost its last colonies in Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. Now, let's talk about life in the 19th century. The Industrial Revolution originated in the United Kingdom at the end of the 18th century, and then it extended to other countries. In Spain, the Industrial Revolution took place in the 19th century. Factories were built mainly in Catalonia and the Basque Country. Small craftsmen's workshops were replaced by factories with machines operated by workers. The steam engine was invented, and a new energy source, coal, was used. Thanks to the steam engine, trains and steamboats were developed, and the new machines allowed the textile and metal industries to advance very quickly. Talking about architecture, at the beginning of the 19th century, neoclassical architecture developed. Buildings were constructed in a style very similar to that of the Greek and Roman architecture. During this century, iron bridges were built and new types of buildings were created, such as railway stations made of iron and glass. At the end of this century, a new architectural style known as modernism was born. Modernist buildings show curved and wavy shapes that simulate forms in nature. In Spain, the most famous modernist architect was Antonio Gaudí, creator of the Casa Milà in Barcelona. In reference to sculpture, we have to say that the transformation of cities influenced sculpture. During this century, squares, gardens, and avenues were decorated with beautiful sculptures made mainly of stone. One of the most famous sculptors was Ricardo Belver. And now the paintings. At the beginning of the 19th century, Francisco de Goya was a painter at the Spanish court and painted portraits of Charles IV and Ferdinand VII. However, he also painted popular scenes such as festivals and wine harvest. Goya is considered one of the greatest artists in history. At the end of the 19th century, Impressionism was born. This art movement introduced innovative painting techniques. Impressionist painters put more emphasis on color than drawing, as well as the effect of light in landscape. The most important Spanish Impressionist painter was Joaquín Sorolla. During the 19th century, there were great writers in Spain. You could find them in the three genres of literature: Narrative, like Benito Pérez Galdós or Leopoldo Alas Clarín. Poem or poetry, which is Rosalía de Castro and Gustavo Adolfo Bécquer. And in reference to drama, José Zorrilla, who wrote Don Juan Tenorio.